good to see you again. I'll just start with any team news that you may have going into Saturday and how the team came through last night.
No, everyone's fine. We've trained today, the rest of the boys who didn't play last night, so they've all trained today as well. So the usual sort of bumps and bruises after a game of football, but no one with any effects that should go into the weekend. So hopefully that stays the case. Yep,
absolutely, hopefully. And I want to ask you about that really. Just how pleasing is it to have this consistent run of availability and players in the building and not what you had previously in the season?
Yeah, it's obviously it's what we try to get to. We need the full squad, or as much as the squad as we can have available. And but injuries do happen, suspensions, this, that, the other. So we have to understand that might happen in the future. Fingers crossed, touch wood, and all that it doesn't. But it's part of football. It's just when it did happen, it wasn't just one or two. It was 5 or 6, and for a considerable amount of time. So that it was a difficult period. But look, they're in good form physically, mentally, and hopefully that will continue from now to the end of the season. But we have to be prepared just in case that doesn't happen. So that's why the lads have trained really hard this morning. The ones who haven't played last night, because they have to be ready. They have to be prepared.
And what is that level of competition like now within the squad, with such available numbers and such quality available as well?
Yeah, it's really good from my perspective. It's difficult, as in difficult decisions for me to make, but it's a better position for me to be in, and the health of the squad with everyone available. But obviously there's players that are really happy because they're playing a lot of football. There's other players that are frustrated, they're on the bench. But I spoke to one of those guys this morning about the frustration of being on the bench, and saying, look at the good players that are not even on the bench. You know what I mean? It's a competitive squad that we want to have, and it's about how you handle yourself in those times. Because there's going to be difficult times for us as a team, and it's not always going to go our way. So if it's not going your way as an individual, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't sort of get frustrated and not perform to your highest level, because that'll only get you further away from the team. Yeah. We need to see people who have got the resilience to have tough times, keep the standards high, because that's what our team needs to be. Without individuals that go into that team with the same mentality, then our team won't be like that. So, like I say, it's good from my perspective, but I can understand the frustrations of players. I'm always here to listen to them or talk to them, but they should never, ever let it affect their performance level.
What about those players that aren't in the squad at the moment? How are they dealing with that situation?
Yeah, like I say, I think there's ways of behaving around the rest of the players in the canteen, in the gym, and stuff like that, and your demeanour. And I haven't seen any issues from that perspective. Then there's the performance level in training, and your work ethic, and your physical output, and the standards you hold. And that's a different thing, where I'll judge them on all the things, because ultimately, if we're going to be successful, it's going to take 22 players, not 11, and then a bit part for a few of us, and then a group of unhappy players just doing their own thing. So we work hard to try and give them the environment to not feel on the outside, but it's very difficult around match days, because I have to pick a team, I have to pick a squad. But the players know. I think they can. The ones on the periphery at the moment, on the bench or outside of it, look at the results, but they look at the quality of the players and as well. So, but what we've seen over the course of the season is, when it's been the other way around, there's been a healthy respect for each other, and that's important that they continue that. If there's any grievances, bring them to me, because it's me that picks the team, and we can talk it out.
As a manager in this situation, is there an element of it being a balancing act? Obviously wanting to keep the numbers and the quality and the depth that you have and the competition that comes with that, but also being mindful of the fact that players will want minutes and opportunities may arise, and we've got just less than a week of the window remaining.
But I'll always be there to listen to that player. My first sort of priority is Bradford City, but I don't just ignore the personal effect of a player, seeing his career and which way it's going, and this, that, the other. So I have to try and have that balance, because I was there myself as a player, so I have to have the empathy for that player. But first and foremost, I have to protect Bradford City, the team, the squad, and obviously the results. But so there'll be I haven't had any communication from a player direct that's come to me and say I see my future elsewhere or anything like that. But there's still a week to go, which I understand. But there will be a point in the window where it's too late, and we have to look after ourselves. So we'll see how this week goes. But I haven't seen any signs of that from any players, and my door's always open.
Clubs will obviously monitor the situation here. They'll see if there are players available. Has anything progressed from that standpoint in terms of interest in your players?
No, nothing's progressed, but I know David and Stephen Gent have had phone calls from clubs just inquiring about players. That's been pretty much across the month, to be honest, not just in this particular week. But nothing concrete has come forward from that for anyone to act upon. So let's just see how the next few days go. But there's nothing to report on that side of it, to be honest.
And if that were to happen, hypothetically, are you in a position to respond to that in terms of bring someone in to fill that space, or are you happy with that person to go depending on who they are?
Yeah, I think it's dependent on who it is, the position, all those things, the ability to replace. Because I do think we have healthy numbers, not too overboard, and not too light. I wouldn't like it see it go either way, either bigger or smaller. I think the numbers are just right now. So if anyone was outgoing, I believe we'd probably have to replace. So we'd have to sort of balance all that up if anything came along. So that's why if it gets right near close to the window, there'll be less likely anything outgoing, because it'd be very difficult to then bring players in. But we have players in mind that if we have to move. But there's a time thing on that as well, because other clubs could just nip in. We don't need them right now, I don't believe, but we could do in 5 days' time, and the player might not be there. So it's always moving parts, and we have to be as best prepared as we can. And you can only prepare to a certain amount of percentage to be ready.
Looking back at last night, and obviously we spoke about that after the game, but just a day on, how pleasing was it to get the job done, to get the 3 points? Yeah,
it was the biggest thing. I think, I was speaking to George Lapsley after training. We were walking up together, and he's saying, those are the games, when you look back at the end of the season, if you haven't been successful, and you go, remember that draw against these and this defeat against these. And I said, that's why that game was so big for us. It was so much jeopardy in it for us. So delighted with the players to get the job done, and we deserved to. We were the dominant team. We did deserve to score more goals. He only had one shot on target the whole game, so the defensive side of the game was really strong. But it was still tight margins at the end when it's 1-0. So, but there's going to be loads of games like that. It's not always going to be like it was against Walsall, 3-0 up, 10 minutes to go, and we're sort of reasonably comfortable. It's always going to be on, or majority of the time it's going to be on a knife edge. So our ability to handle that mentally and have the physical capacity to go all the way to 95 minutes is really important for us. So a very pleasing night, considering how the players have performed in certainly the last 2 games, which on a personal level, from Bradford City's, the Carlisle game, big emotional game, and then the Walsall game. So there's a lot of emotion around both those games. So to then follow up with a good 1-0 win against Morecambe was really important for us. Saturday will mark a month since Andy Cook's injury, and obviously that is a big blow for you as a squad. But given what you've been able to produce since Andy's absence, how pleased are you with how you've adapted to that loss? Because naturally the question was at that time, how are you going to deal without Andy Cook? Yeah, it's I've spoken when Cookie was playing, maybe a year ago, that even when I first came in, I didn't want us to be a one-man team on either side of the game, and because I don't believe that is ultimately success. I really don't, and I think it was important for us to try to bring in players or give players that are already here more emphasis and importance to go, no, we have to create goals and goal scoring opportunities amongst the whole team, set plays, defenders, wing backs getting in the box, all that sort of thing, midfielders running from from beyond to score, and obviously whoever was playing up front with Cookie. So what we've seen is in the I don't know how many games, 5-6 games or something, that the players have took that responsibility on. I think people like Pato and Sart are natural goal scorers anyway, and have had goal scoring histories before. But people like Lewis Richards coming up and the centre halves coming up and scoring set pieces, excuse me, is really important for us. So listen, we would love to have Cookie fit right now and still have this competition and these goals. But I believe the squad that we've sort of built over the last year has been able to withstand the loss of one player. Yeah. When we had the difficulty before, it was the loss of 6 players. No team's going to be able to just run smoothly with that. But I believe or hope that we have a squad. We didn't start Alex Patterson last night. We still won the game. And Pato was outstanding on Saturday. That's what the strength of our group needs to be. And the players are working exceptionally hard to do that.
That adaptation, is it subconscious, conscious, a bit of both?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think a player as big as Andy Cook, can sort of dominate his teammates' minds sometimes, because they're that bigger players. Like, I know, like Harry Kane for England, sort of thing, and there's some players that either want to sort of compete for the throne or so to speak. Then they have to overcome the challenge, and Cookie's not giving up anything. He wants to be out there, he wants to play, he wants to score, wants to win. So it's players where it's like any young player coming through. Eventually, you're going to have to knock somebody out of the team to make your debut, all that sort of thing. So that's part of the equation. But so it's I think you have to have a bit of personality and character about yourself to be able to come into a team and do that. And I believe we have good characters and good personalities. So, but like I say, it's not. We didn't put any emphasis on Callum Kavanagh, right? You are the direct placement for Cookie. Now you're playing in that position. Yeah. We want him to do his thing, and if he doesn't score but gives us all the other stuff, I'm perfectly happy with that. And that's the same with all the players. So as long as they play for the team, it's the team that needs to score more goals in the opposition, not one player. So I think the players have just maybe naturally took it on board, but obviously aware of such a big character and such a big player for us missing.
One component of the form of late, or maybe this season more generally, to be honest, is the areas in which you're turning over possession and then turning that into an attack. How much importance is that part of your game plan, and how pleasing is that?
I think it underpins nearly everything we do, to be honest. How when we want to have control of the game, and not just through possession, because we won't have it 100% of the time. The opposition has it, but then we have to try and imprint on them and try and control where they go with it, and try and turn it over and try and make it difficult for them. We don't want any team to be able to play their game, and we have to disrupt that as often as possible. But I believe we've got, and it's took a bit of time. It took us quite a while of pre-season to, especially with the new players coming in, to get the ball rolling with that press shape and the principles and the courage you need to do it. And you do need a strong mentality, and you do need courage to be able to go and step into areas where you maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable, but their comfort that they get is that they're always connected with a teammate. So having that trust to not look behind you where your teammate is and just go, that's where it is, and it's a split second. As soon as one of our players looks over his shoulder, it's too late. Yeah. That means he's not trusting his teammates. When you see him just go straight away and it goes together, it's really good. And we've had spells where we've come off it, and I think it's damaged us, in game. And when we're on it, I think that's when we're at our best. And it's a defensive mechanism because you're defending much further away from your goal, but on turnover, you're not that far to go. And I think we've got brilliant players that can really commit to those spaces, not just in pace, but in their thought process, in their passing. And we work on it every single day. Even we've got 8 players. There's a press part in the game, because in the training, because it underpins what we try to be, really.
So when you then face on Saturday one of the team that has conceded the lowest amount of goals in League Two, I imagine the message is to just not deviate from what you've worked on so hard this season.
No, it was like I said last week, playing Carlisle, who were bottom, playing Walsall, who were top. Nothing changed from our perspective. Nothing changed last night. Listen, some teams can manage it better, can overcome it now and then, but our game plan, our belief hasn't changed in any game this season. And things are there. Carlisle, we haven't beaten them for 40 years. We win. Walsall, high scoring team in England. We keep a clean sheet. These are there as challenges for us, and it will be a challenge on Saturday. So my players always know how we plan for games. We respect every opponent, but I think we respect ourselves more, and I think that's important to have that belief in ourselves and that confidence in ourselves and the confidence in the people around us.
Thank you, Graham.
Okay, mate.
I'm saying, Graham, about obviously with a month out without Andy Cook. I mean, in a way, do you think the players perhaps subconsciously want to sort of prove to everyone that this team isn't a one-man team? You say we can't afford to be, but do you think the players want to say, we know we're not, and we're showing it? And in a way, these results have sort of demonstrated that.
I don't know. One or two might be thinking that because they might have felt they were in the shade a few times. I don't know. I don't think there's anyone enjoying seeing Cookie injured and thinking it's a positive for us. I think he's a really popular member of the team and the squad and the group, and he's still around us and he's still got a part to play for us. But one or two maybe might feel like that, certainly in the similar positions, the forwards, but they haven't intimated that. I didn't see that before when he was fit. I didn't see anyone feeling they were, he was overshadowing them or anything like that. So I couldn't speak for the players, but I don't think anyone's reveling in the position that Andy Cook's in. I know you're not intimating that,
I suppose it's perhaps the perception of people look at Bradford City and they see and they think, oh, Andy Cook, he scores all the goals. So the fact that this team has kept going and kept going magnificently really the last month. It sort of shows, it shows perhaps the broader picture that
I agree.
A strong team.
Yeah, it's probably shine instead of the shadow, it's shining the light on more players and the team as a whole, which for me is the biggest thing. I don't want any individual to overpower the importance of the team and the squad. I think that's vital for us. But I get it from the outside. I think that might be a perception that people have, and there's maybe a percentage that's a bit more respectful of the group. But I can't really talk for that because it's not me thinking like that. So. I think the players have done great, but we've got to continue to do it. You're talking 1 month, so let's make sure it's 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, until the time Andy comes back.
I suppose from your point of view, from that moment that Andy went down and we all realised it could be something quite serious. I mean, if someone had offered you 5 wins in that time, you'd have bitten the hand off him.
Well, listen, any time people offer 5 wins on the bounce, you're taking it, regardless of who's fit and who isn't. So, look, it was a blow for us on the day, certainly, so early in the game. And you do look forward and think, right, who are we going to be as good? Are we going to be able to be as potent and all those sort of things? So those questions come with it. But I look through the squad and I believe in the squad, and I see goal scorers training every single day, scoring in training, in games, in 11v11s, 8v8s, whatever it is. So we've never been that sort of team where I'm looking around going, well, I don't know where they're going to come from. I've believed that we've got 6 or 7 natural goal scorers anyway throughout the squad. So, but they need to be on the pitch to have those opportunities. And obviously Cookie was taking up one of those places, but it's opened up for somebody else just by being out on the pitch more often. So. Look, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and we never want to be in a position where we believe we don't need any one particular player in that squad, because there'll be times where we'd have needed Cookie as well. But I think my belief in the team has always been absolute. It's always been with me, even as a player. it was always about the team first and foremost, and that's the only thing I've tried to create, or me and Chris and all the other staff, is that group dynamic will always supersede any individual.
Talking about the other end of the pitch, I mean, 3 clean sheets in a row, bearing in mind you had that long run where you couldn't buy a clean sheet. People will be scoring with their only chance from that. I mean, that must be great for the group confidence, because I think you could sort of sense a lot of frustration. You speak to Sam and some of the defenders, you know, when they were conceding, when they kept pretty much a lid on teams for 90% of the game. Yeah,
look, I know as a player who played in defence for a lot of his career, it's something that you want, you need for your own sort of confidence and mindset, and I think it's something they work exceptionally hard on in training, and they're getting a closer feel between them, like a connection that celebrating those defensive actions, almost like goal scorers at the other end, scoring or taking good shots. I think that's important, that they see the value in that. We want our defenders to be defenders first and foremost, but also create after that. I think it's good for us, and I think it's good for opponents to think actually it's going to be difficult to score against these today. And I think that's the biggest thing, is trying to impact on the opposition. And I think the more clean sheets you get, it's just been mentioned about Wimbledon's defensive record. So you're already sort of trying to imprint on the next opponent by being hard to beat. And like you say, I think we have been, in general terms, that way. But maybe just the time of playing together and training together and getting all the details nailed down, I think has helped us just in the last few games sort of turn those margins in our way. So, and then when you need a big save, Sam's made a couple of fantastic saves in each of the games. Certainly last night, when I watched it back after the game, it was miles better than I actually thought at the time. Brilliant save. So they're all contributing, and you can't take out the front 3 in that perspective. They are working their socks off, whoever plays, to be part of that defensive action.
And obviously, this fixture coming up, it's got a tradition of very few goals. It seems to be very tight. Right. The last few encounters have been. So, I mean, presumably, when you look at the way the teams are playing, the way the teams are defending both ways, it probably could be another very tight encounter.
I would guess it will be a tight encounter. I think there'll be margins that you want to go your way, but every duel will be fiercely contested, I think, from both teams. I think it's a game. I think earlier this season they were exceptionally hard to break down, and I think the same will be the same on Saturday. But we could have said the same going into the Walsall game as well, and we could have scored more than the 3 that we got. So each game is a challenge. I don't want to get bogged down on just certain parts of it. I think we have to take Wimbledon as a whole and make sure we compete on both sides of it. It's not just going there to defend and press, but we have to be creative as well. And I think the balance from the team is there at the moment. We have to work exceptionally hard to keep it. So it's going to be a competitive game.
The sort of fixture that presumably you're licking your lips at, in terms of the form the team's in. It's another very good test for it. Yeah,
look, I think I always look forward to seeing the team play. That's how I see it. I love game day. I love being around the team. I love seeing them prepare in their own way and walking out that tunnel. I'd love to join on that little queue and just walk on the pitch one day, but then my time's gone. But I do get jealous of them at those moments, because I think it's a brilliant sport. I think they're living the life of their dreams, playing football, every single weekend. So it's I always look forward to seeing the team play, because it's different challenges week in, week out. Even if we're in a difficult run of form, I always look forward to the games, because I always believe that's the one that will be the turning point, or when we improve. And that's always really rewarding, as any coach will tell you, seeing individuals, seeing your team improve, facing up to challenges, showing the resilience that you need, and then the quality to win. All those things come into match day. So every match day for me is a special one.